Hello and welcome to Political Theatre. India is the largest democracy in the world, and the twists and turns in the world of Indian politics attract everyone's attention. Several political developments take place across the country simultaneously, making it difficult for the people to keep a track of these developments and understand their impact. In the next half an hour, we'll bring to you the top political events of the week and analyze and decode them for you. So let's begin with the big story of the week. The demonetization debate was ignited afresh this week after the RBI released its annual report for 2016-17. While the opposition utilized this opportunity to lash out at the government, the ruling side defended the demonetization decision and pointed out its benefits.
This week, the RBI finally released the complete picture of the note ban exercise. According to RBI's detailed report, nearly 99% of the demonetized 500 and 1000 rupee notes flowed into the banks. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley says all this money has now been identified with its owner, which means the entire cash in the economy now has an address. And as per Finance Minister, this was the primary objective of the exercise.
Those dealing in cash currency were now compelled to deposit the money in the banks, and the anonymity which existed with regard to the ownership of this cash money operating in the system has come to an end. The money has now got identified with a particular owner.
Predictably, the RBI's report triggered a political storm of sorts. Opposition parties claim that it indicates the demonetization exercise has been a failure, since the return of almost the entire junked cash means the entire hoard of the black money has returned to the system.
Congratulate both the Finance Minister and the Prime Minister that they allowed the rich people who had undisclosed wealth with black money, allowed them through the process of demonetization to convert it into white. So instead of attacking black money, they helped people who had black money.
Cost of printing new notes was about 8,000 crores. Cost of recalibrating your ATMs was about 35,000 crores. Loss to the economy, informal economy, according to the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, CMI, was about 1,50,000 crores.
This is a scam. This has now turned out to be a big flop show. The BJP has been talking about corruption, corruption, corruption. Well, this is the biggest example of corruption.
Finance Minister explained that the object of demonetization was to change India's status as a high cash economy, which was necessary to inflict a blow to black money. And this objective has been achieved.
We intended to give a blow to black money, and for doing that expand the tax base of the country. And it is obvious that post-demonetization, the direct tax base has already started expanding substantially.
The RBI also reported that the cost of printing notes had doubled due to the need created by the demonetization process, prompting opposition parties to raise more questions on the need for this decision taken by the government in November last year. The government, however, is quite categorical. The intangible benefits of the note ban far outweigh the costs. This includes its ability to crack down on suspicious transactions, ensure better tax compliance, and encourage digital transactions, all of which contribute to transforming the economy into a modern one. Based on deposits alone, the government has estimated suspicious transactions worth 1.6 to 1.7 lakh crore rupees. It also detected nearly 3 lakh suspect shell companies, of which over 2.1 lakh have been deregistered. The number of taxpayers also rose by 42% in addition.
For more on this story, we are joined by senior journalist Mr. R. Rajagopalan. So welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. Very staunch attack which has been launched by the opposition on this issue. Is this going to help them in any way? Because the government is claiming complete success for the demonetization exercise.
Opposition role is to do anything whichever coming in their way, because the government has succeeded in giving at least one issue for the opposition, number one. Number two, demonetization has been a successful one. For the last 1 year, as Prime Minister's initiative has been, Garib ki thali mein farak nahi padna, that is GST, that is demonetization. That is what he has been repeatedly saying. So therefore, my understanding is that government has of course succeeded in demonetization, because there is one section of digitalization was swept. If you understand that, digitalization has gone nook and corner of India.
So making it a less cash economy.
Less cash economy. That is what the prime motive of the government of the day. Therefore, we have to appreciate that. They have come with a huge mandate. Opposition is nowhere in this country because it has been reduced to only 2 digits and single digits. There are many regional parties have been wiped out during 2014. Therefore, government is in its wisdom. With their manifesto has been successful. Having got 288 seats in the Lok Sabha, they gone for a major change, and demonetization has been a successful one for the government. From the digitalization point of view, I am saying now every person, even those who travel by a car or auto rickshaw or by taxi, they pay through digitalization. Therefore, less cash economy. Demonetization, of course, as per the Reserve Bank Governor's latest report, the money has come 99% back into the system.
So what you're saying is that the basic motive was to make the economy a less cash one, and that
they have been successful.
That they have been successful in making. We'll take a short break here, and when we come back, we will tell you the details of the political developments in Tamil Nadu as well as the results of the assembly by-poll on 4 seats. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The political situation in Tamil Nadu continues to remain fluid, with the tussle intensifying with each passing day between the merged EPS and OPS camp of AIADMK on one side and the Sasikala camp led by TTV Dinakaran on the other side. The opposition, meanwhile, is continuing its efforts to seek a floor test for the AIADMK government, claiming that it is in minority now due to the internal rift.
The ruling AIADMK's woes in Tamil Nadu are far from over. The rebellion led by TTV Dinakaran after the merger of the OPS and EPS camp is emerging fast as a big threat for the survival of the government. The merged factions have decided to convene a meeting of the party's General Council on 12th September, where a decision to remove jailed party General Secretary V.K. Sasikala from the post could be taken. However, the TTV Dinakaran camp has opposed the move.
Dinakaran அவர்களால் நியமனம் செய்யப்பட்ட பொறுப்புகள் அத்தனையுமே செல்லாததாகும். எனவே அம்மா அவர்களால் நியமிக்கப்பட்ட பொறுப்பாளர்கள், தலைமை கழக நிர்வாகிகள் எல்லோருமே மற்றும் அனைத்து நிர்வாகிகள்.
So regarding the 4 resolution passed by OPS and EPS joined together in party headquarters, what's your opinion regarding it, sir?
Irrelevant. It doesn't have any legal standings.
They cannot remove our Honorable General Secretary Chinnamma. It has been very clear today. She appointed Mr. TTV Dinakaran as a Deputy General Secretary. They can't remove that.
Meanwhile, DMK is leading Tamil Nadu opposition party's charge to force a trial of strength in the State Assembly. On Thursday, representatives of DMK, Congress and left parties met President Ram Nath Kovind, requesting him to order an immediate trust vote, while claiming that the E. Palaniswamy government had lost majority support.
நேரம் ஒதுக்கிட்டாங்க. நாளை காலை 11 மணிக்கு நேரம் கொடுத்திருக்கிறார்கள். திராவிட முன்னேற்ற கழகம், மார்க்சிஸ்ட் கம்யூனிஸ்ட் கட்சி, இந்திய கம்யூனிஸ்ட் கட்சி, காங்கிரஸ் உள்ளிட்ட பல கட்சிகளுடைய நாடாளுமன்ற உறுப்பினர்கள் நாளைக்கு 11 மணிக்கு சந்திக்கிறார்கள். நம்பிக்கையோடு தான் சந்திக்கிறோம்.
The only way is now for this government to prove its majority in the House, and then we'll know what is the future of this government. But all these maneuvers have emanated from Delhi and the BJP.
So we have collectively conveyed this to the President, urging him to advise the Governor or direct the Governor of Tamil Nadu to convene the Assembly. We have also conveyed in writing that 21 legislators, MLAs of Tamil Nadu, have given individual letters of withdrawal of support to the government.
The past struggle within the ruling AIADMK has taken several twists and turns so far. But with TTV Dinakaran camp claiming the support of more than 24 MLAs, the government headed by the party in the state is facing a threat of being reduced to minority. Meanwhile, the merged factions of EPS and OPS are yet to gain full control of the party organization.
Our political analyst for the day, Mr. R. Rajagopalan, is still with us. Again, a twist in Tamil Nadu once again, and this time around the TTV rebellion is gaining momentum with each passing day. So, will the AIADMK be able to finally survive this new rebellion, or will the government collapse this time? Because the numbers in the TTV camp are increasing with each.
Of course, it will definitely increase because there are three factions out of Jayalalitha's demise. The ADMK has gone into EPS camp, OPS camp and TTV Dinakaran camp. If you analyze that, for the last 6 months after Jayalalitha's demise, none of the ADMK leaders gone to the DMK. That itself, they are moving within their orbit of ADMK. If you understand that Tamil Nadu politics, if you want to understand Tamil Nadu politics, Vishal, you have to understand three important facts. One is about the caste system, the Tevar, Nadar community and Gounder community's dominance. Number second thing, the wipeout of DMK by Jayalalitha in 2016 elections, Lok Sabha, assembly elections, where Jayalalitha got 138 of 234. So therefore, she swept the Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
And there is no opposition. So my point is, with DMK, which having 75 to 85 seats within themselves and Congress getting some 21 like that, so total coming, they are 100 in numbers. They are unable to topple the government. The toppling game, interestingly enough, in Tamil Nadu for the first time, come from the ruling party itself.
From within the ruling party.
Therefore, my estimation of Tamil Nadu government's age, like if you want to say that, maximum it can survive September. Beyond September, it is very difficult and it will be a big question mark if definitely it survived in the month of October, because October is very difficult month. September 12th, the General Council of EPS OPS meeting. September 20th, the 2G verdict by the CBI court is coming out. Therefore, once you see, these are all collectively related to Tamil Nadu politics.
That's a very significant statement which you are making, that it might not be possible for the AIADMK government in Tamil Nadu to survive beyond September. Let's wait and watch as to what will now unfold in that southern state. Meanwhile, let's take a look at another story wherein the results for 2 assembly seats in Goa and 1 each in Andhra Pradesh and Delhi were declared this week. While BJP managed to win both the seats in Goa, the Aam Aadmi Party made a resounding comeback in the national capital. But the main opposition Congress once again drew a blank everywhere.
In the recently concluded by-polls on 4 seats, BJP registered a comfortable win in both the seats in Goa. The Aam Aadmi Party retained New Delhi's Bhawana Assembly constituency, and TDP won the Nandyal seat in Andhra Pradesh. Among the 4 constituencies where by-poll took place, Bhawana in Delhi was the heart of the debate, where Aam Aadmi Party registered a massive victory by winning a 3-way fight against the Congress and the BJP by a margin of over 24,000 votes. In a bitterly fought contest among arch rivals, the ruling Telugu Desam Party won the by-election to the Nandyal Assembly in Andhra Pradesh's Kurnool district, defeating nearest rival of YSR Congress by over 27,000 votes. The BJP won assembly seats of Panji and Valpoi in Goa. Chief Minister Manohar Parrikar retained the Panji seat for the 6th time in a row, registering victory over Congress candidate Girish Chodankar. And Health Minister Vishwajit Rane won Valpoi seat by defeating Congress candidate by a margin of over 10,000 votes. The Nandyal election, which was fought more on a personal level between Chandrababu Naidu and Jagan Mohan Reddy, is being seen as a referendum on TDP-BJP rule ahead of the 2019 assembly elections. The result is a setback to the YSR Congress that was banking on Nandyal to give it momentum for elections next year.
Jagan Mohan Reddy, he spoke a lot of nuisance. Everybody felt bad. In a responsible opposition leader should not have used that words.
ఈ రెఫరెండం ఎలా అవుతుందమ్మా, నువ్వే చెప్పుమా. నాకు ఒకటి చెప్పు, ఒకే ఒక్క చోట అసెంబ్లీ, ఒకే ఒక్క చోట ఎలక్షన్ జరపడం, మొత్తం 200 కోట్లు డబ్బు పెట్టడం.
However, the Goa election, which came as no surprise to the BJP, further proved that the BJP was not wrong in forming the government in Goa after the February assembly elections.
What are the factors which has gone in your favor?
Performance and connect with people.
The win in Bhawana, one of New Delhi's largest constituencies in terms of number of electors, has given a fresh lease of life to Arvind Kejriwal, who has faced massive defeats in the state and the MCD elections. After losing the Delhi seat, both the BJP and Congress will be forced to reassess their strategy for the national capital.
अगर कोई व्यक्ति ये सोचता है कि मैं नेता हूं और जनता कुछ नहीं है और जनता की भावनाएं, जनता का 2.5 साल पहले लिया गया डिसीजन, उसको धोखा देके कोई व्यक्ति जाता है तो फिर जनता जवाब देती है।
बवाना के लोगों की जो उन्होंने जो अपना निर्णय दिया है उसको हम विनम्रता से स्वीकार करते हैं और इसकी समीक्षा करेंगे।
The recently concluded by-polls in the 3 states have given a chance to the political parties to realign their electoral strategy in the states.
We still have Mr. R. Rajgopalan with us, our political analyst for the day. 4 seats, not a big number, but then the results specifically point out to a lot of political game plan which has been put into practice by the political parties. BJP won both of them in Goa. That ways they are now strengthened in that particular state. And Aam Aadmi Party making a comeback in Delhi would definitely be a morale booster for the ruling party here. Congress once again seems to have lost the plot.
My understanding of this the results of the 4 assembly constituencies, Telugu Desam won in Andhra Pradesh. Ruling party in Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party, which is a surprise one. Despite any amount of hype against Aam Aadmi Party, they have won. That means public sympathy is still with Aam Aadmi Party. Therefore, it is based on state specific, not the country specific. Goa ruling party won. Therefore, all places ruling party has won. In the next result, if you understand that, Vishal, I tell you, any amount of Twitter poll, any amount of Facebook or daily newspapers, websites, polls indicate that the Congress is getting slowly marginalized, and it may go to even single digit in 2019 elections because it's in a great crisis. Within the party, there is a lot of opposition coming out. Like Veerabhadra Singh yesterday, what happened last night. So similarly in Karnataka, similarly in Punjab. Therefore, there are regional satraps of Congress are coming up. Therefore, Congress leadership is in big question mark. My understanding of the situation is, if Congress has to survive, they have to strive very hard.
Okay, so clearly it seems the biggest opposition party in the country will have to work hard a little more to ensure its political survival. We'll take a short break here, and when we come back, we will give you the details of other political happenings around the country. Stay tuned. Welcome back. From the fresh round of tussle between the Aam Aadmi Party and LG in Delhi to the RSS-BJP coordination meeting in Mathura, let's take a look at what else made news in the political arena across the country this week.
The Congress faced a rebellion from Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Veerbhadra Singh after he wrote to party President Sonia Gandhi stating that he does not want to contest the assembly elections due later this year. Singh is understood to be demanding removal of State Unit Chief of the party Sukhvinder Sukhu. However, Veerbhadra seemed to have been pacified after a meeting with party President Sonia Gandhi. The state government led by Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi is again logged in a verbal duel with Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal over the issue of Mohalla clinics. While party leaders have accused the Lieutenant Governor of not clearing files related to Mohalla clinic project, the Lieutenant Governor has termed the Aam Aadmi Party MLA's behaviour as unbecoming of responsible elected representatives. Baijal's statement came in the wake of his meeting with the MLAs to discuss pending Mohalla clinics, after which the 43 legislators refused to leave his office, demanding that the issue be resolved immediately. The Kejriwal-led Aam Aadmi Party government's flagship project to construct 1,000 Mohalla clinics in the city is on the verge of a collapse due to non-availability of land. Following the Rajasthan government's recommendations earlier this month, the Central Bureau of Investigation this week registered 18 cases, including one linked to Robert Vadra. It is in connection with alleged irregularities in land deals in Bikaner district. The CBI has registered 18 cases under sections 420, 461 and 471 of the IPC. The cases were referred to the CBI by the centre on the request of the Rajasthan government. Haryana Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar met BJP President Amit Shah in Delhi to submit a report about the violence that erupted in Panchkula and other parts of his state last week after a court pronounced Dera Sacha Sauda head Gurmeet Ram Rahim guilty of rape. Khattar, however, rejected the opposition's demand for his resignation, which accused him of mishandling the situation after the court verdict against Ram Rahim. A 3-day coordination meeting of the RSS and its affiliate outfits and the BJP is taking place in Mathura from the 1st of September at Keshav Dham in Vrindavan. The attacks on RSS workers in Kerala and West Bengal and the steps taken by the centre to curb stone pelting in Kashmir came up for discussion during the meet. With senior ministers Arun Jaitley and Rajnath Singh also likely to attend the meet, issues like Chinese border aggression, national security and the economy may come up for discussion during the meeting. 7 MPs took oath as Rajya Sabha members this week. These included 2 from the Congress, Ahmed Patel and P. Bhattacharya, and 5 from the Trinamool Congress, Manas Bhuiyan, Shanta Chetri, Derek O'Brien, Sukhendu Shekhar Roy and Dola Sen. They were administered the oath of office by Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu in the Parliament House.
Several political situations led to interesting comments from political leaders in a bid to counter each other's claims. We have shortlisted the best ones for you in Face Off.
पार्टी के हम लोग कार्यकर्ता हैं और पार्टी का निर्णय हुआ कि आप अपना इस्तीफा दें, उसके वो बिल्कुल सामान्य है.
Acceptance of cabinet reshuffle itself is that everything is not going right.
बारिश बहुत ज्यादा हुई है, 6-7 जगह तो 200 से ज्यादा वो बारिश हुई है. बहुत बड़े पैमाने पर हमको ये वाटर लॉगिंग दिख रहा है. 209 पंप बीएमसी के वाटर इवैक्यूएशन का काम कर रहे हैं.
2005 में 1 घंटे में 944 mm बारिश हुई थी, जबकि कल 12 घंटे में मुश्किल से 320 या 325 mm बारिश हुई है. जो पंपिंग स्टेशन हैं, वो पंपिंग स्टेशन चोकअप हो गए थे. कल 1200 करोड़ रुपए खर्च किए गए हैं.
बाबा को जब तक अंदर नहीं लाते, कोर्ट में नहीं लाते, तब कन्फ्रंटेशन होता तो बहुत स्थिति खराब होती. बड़े नुकसान को टालने के लिए ये कैलकुलेटेड रिस्क लेकर छोटा नुकसान हुआ है.
आज ये सिद्ध हो गया कि इसके लिए भी और जो जाट आरक्षण में हुई या हिंसा हुई, उसके लिए पूर्ण रूप से सरकार जिम्मेवार है.
भाजपा हटाओ देश बचाओ रैली में इतना आक्रोश में लोग हैं. भारी संख्या में लोग आए हैं नरेंद्र मोदी के खिलाफ गुस्सा का इजहार करने और नीतीश कुमार के.
हताश और निराश बीजेपी हटाओ विलाप मंडली है, जो सत्ता के लिए सियासी सर्कस कर रही है, जिस सर्कस में कि आपको मनोरंजन भी दिख रहा है.
Children have to be given a love for the country, and when they grow up and become adults, they can moderate it as they like.
I do not know whether HRD ministry is clear what it is doing. It is RSS which tries to rewrite the whole history.
Apart from television studios, protest marches and public rallies, politicians were also busy taking a dig at each other and making their point on social media. Let's take a look at what all happened in the virtual world of Indian politics.
The opposition mounted a scathing attack on the centre after RBI's report on demonetization this week. Former Finance Minister and senior Congress leader P. Chidambaram questioned the Modi government, asking whether its demonetization decision was designed to convert black money into white. In another tweet, Congress spokesperson Randeep Surjewala praised former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh's prediction, in which he had said that the note ban will negatively impact India's economy. In his tweet, CPIM General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri also attacked Narendra Modi, saying that over 100 people died catering to the whim of the Prime Minister. On the slow GDP growth numbers, Yechuri said that the country's growth has been worst in a decade and said that the decision to ban notes was an irresponsible one. The Aam Aadmi Party too lashed out at the centre for failing in execution and implementation of the note ban. However, a united BJP came out in full support of demonetization on Twitter. While BJP, from its official handle, tweeted that a move helped in cleaning the country's financial system and led to the highest ever detection of black money, many central ministers came to the rescue and sent out identical tweets on the success of demonetization, making #demonetization success as the top-ranking trend for the day. Union ministers including Thawarchand Gehlot and Suresh Prabhu were among the ones who sent out similar tweets, including the one which said demonetization attained its objective of making India a less cash economy, reducing black money flow into the system. Other central ministers including Smriti Irani and Kiran Rijiju used the same hashtag and tweeted about the success of demonetization. RJD's rally in Patna also attracted a lot of interest on Twitter. Party President Lalu Prasad Yadav tweeted an alleged morph picture depicting the huge number of people attending the BJP Bhagao Desh Bachao rally. The picture caught the attention of many on Twitter, who tweeted images from Gandhi Maidan showing the crowd much smaller than the one in Yadav's photo. Soon after, BJP Sushil Kumar Modi tweeted an image showing most of the rally venue empty and wondered if there were indeed 2.5 million people in attendance as claimed by the RJD chief.
So this was the summary of twists and turns in the world of Indian politics this week. We will be back again next week with some more interesting information and analysis. Till then, we will leave you with these visuals. Keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.